Herbert Spencer, back in 1591, advised his readers to feed on hope. And then we come to Sidney Smith. He says, hope for the best and trust in God. Hope is the belief that joys will come. But he got off on another subject in the same page on which I was reading. Has no relation to the subject matter of this sermon. But he said way back in somewhere between 1771 and 1845, which was his lifespan, he came up with the assertion that preaching has become a byword for long and dull conversation of any kind. I really think that rules him out as an intellectual critic. Then we've got to get a quotation in here from good old Shakespeare. What a man he must have been. How was all the wisdom that he had in one head? Must have been remarkable. He speaks about Henry IV, who lined himself with hope. Just get hope all through you. Line it. Line your brain with hope. And Matthew Arnold says, still nursing the unconquerable hope. Alexander Pope, hope springs eternal in the human breast. God put it there because we can't live without hope. Carl Sandburg said, who can live without hope? And the Bible, finally, I don't think that amounts to anything. We are saved by hope. Now, you see, if this is the case, it's all the more reason why we should be committed Christians. Because when you know Jesus Christ, you know all of these great qualities. You have faith, you have love, and you have hope. A synonym for hope could be expectation. Who can live without expectation that there's something good in the future? If you had to get up in the morning and say, nothing good is ever going to happen to me, how good would your life be? When you can get up in the morning and hope that you have your skills, that you'll have your ability to succeed, that you'll have clarity of mind, then you live. I was in a certain city the other day when I met a friend of mine who is probably one of, if not the, most highly respected man in that city. And as always, when I stood with him, I realized I was in the presence of a miracle. He was gifted in early youth with a charming personality. He was hired by a bank to do a routine job, but his personality made itself felt so that they assigned him the job of entertaining prominent customers of the bank, especially from out of town. And they gave him a membership in the leading club of the city. And he got the notion that the way to entertain customers was to encourage them to drink plenty of alcohol. So he would have luncheons, and the alcohol flowed, the whiskey flowed, the brandy flowed, the vodka flowed, everything float. And, of course, he felt that where anybody else had a drink, he should have a drink. And it got so that he'd go back to the bank in the afternoon completely intoxicated, reeling and inebriated. And they'd send him home. Got so that he would show up at the bank at 9 o'clock in the morning, drunk. And he got so bad that they couldn't use him anymore to entertain customers. And he got so bad that after a while they couldn't use him, period. By this time, he'd become one of the vice presidents of the bank. So the banker called him in and he said, I'm sorry, Bill, which isn't his name, Bill, I've got to let you go. Sorry about it. And he said, furthermore, you are such a despicable character that I'm going to see to it that no bank in this state hires you. You'll never get a job. And the boy knew it because this man was the dean of all the bankers in the state. So after a while, his wife got fed up with him. She left him. He had 2 children. They'd have nothing to do with him. He lost his beautiful home in the country club district. He was thrown out of the membership of the other downtown club. He was thrown out of the country club where he played golf. Finally, his money went. And his friends ignored him. And it got so that he panhandled on the street of the very city in which he'd been a top vice president of the biggest bank in the state. Just what you might call, in the old terminology, a bum. Then he got himself committed to an institution for alcoholics under the state because he had no money to go elsewhere. And there was an atheist there. And the atheist said, Mr. So-and-so, I understand that you were chairman of the board of elders and deacons of the First Presbyterian Church. Yeah, he said, I was. They threw me out. Well, he said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. You believe in God. We both landed in the same place. So your God must not amount to very much. This was the thing that first got to my friend. Finally, he left this place. And he went back home to his mother. Strange, isn't it, how you run to mama? That's built into us. Run to mama. So mama said, son, there's only one way for you to recoup. And that is to really get converted to Jesus Christ. Because you have been a spiritual failure. And I'm honored to say that she made him read a couple of my books. And one day, under a tree on that farm of his mother's, he committed himself to Jesus Christ. And it took instantly. He no longer had the alcohol problem. Went back, gradually worked up into the bank across the street. Then one day I heard he had cancer. And I called him on the phone and I said, don't let us throw you, old boy. I was afraid he'd go back to the other. He said, don't you worry. Jesus, who freed me from the other, will take care of me in this. He later became head of the Cancer Society of his state. He's still healthy after these many years. And not long ago, they put up in his city an eternal flame in the central plaza. And they dedicated it to him. And I asked him,